GTA home sales slows in April. Hard to believe, but you know, home sales in the Greater Toronto Area set a new record for April, despite the slowdown, and that amounted for more than quadruple in April of 2020, the first full month of the pandemic. You know, you got to realize we only had 2,500 or 2,800 sales last April, so it's easy to quadruple. But we were down compared to March by 27%. So bucking the regular season trend, April 2021 sales actually declined month over month. A similar trend was noted for the number of new listings reported. So sales and listings were down. So the Toronto Real Estate reported 13,663 sales through the Toronto Real Estate Board, a 12.7% decrease compared to March 21, but more than quadruple the number of sales because of COVID, right? So, which was arguably our worst month in April. So the average in April is about 10,000, but you know, if I look and I go on to 2016, you know, there was about 12,000 sales in 2016. In 2017, there was about 11,800, and in April of 2018, there was only 8,000, and then in April of 2019, there was only 9,000. So we're still substantially higher than those 4 months. So, you know, new listings follow a similar track, that they were down by 8.4%. So what that means is we have less inventory on the marketplace. So if you're thinking of selling, great time to sell, right? But more than triple the number of listings reported in April of 2020. So April 2020 is not a good month to compare to anything, right? So while sales remained very strong last month, most realtors noted a marked in slowing both the number of transactions and the number of new listings. So it makes sense that we had a pullback in a market activity compared to March. You know, we've experienced a very torrid pace of home sales since the summer of last year in 2020, you know, while seeing little in the way of population growth. We may be starting to exhaust the pool of potential buyers within the existing GTA population. You know, the average selling price, meanwhile, was up to $1,090,992. That's an increase of 33% compared to April 2020. That's an awful big jump, but was basically flat compared to March 2021. So flat month, so it's good because we don't want to see the market just spiral too crazy as it was getting there. So this was in contrast to most years in the past when the average selling price increased between March and April. Despite a modest slowing in market activity in April compared to March, selling prices for all major home types remained very, very high. Low borrowing costs during COVID-19 clearly had an impact on the demand for price and home ownership of housing. You know, a lot of people want to have home ownership now. While the price growth could moderate in the coming months, which is a good thing, home prices will likely continue on an upward trend. And the reason that is because the population growth will start to grow and the lack of new inventory coming to the market. So if we look at the sales in the big area, so there was 13,663 sales. And so the city of Toronto accumulated for a large portion of that. They had 4,694 sales, average price of $1,088,021. Then the next big city there is Peel. They had 2,733 sales for an average price of $1,035,341. Then we look at Halton. They had 1,403 sales for an average price of $1,208,601. And then we come to York Region, not too far behind Peel, believe it or not. We had 2,454 sales, but the highest average at $1,283,286. And then Durham, you know, that whole region has just been on fire since last year. It's just, you know, the price and stuff like that, but it's increasing so much. So, you know, a lot of changes happening there. They had 1,771 sales, and now their average is already at 830,000. Like, it's like just exploded. And then we go to Simcoe County, which covers Barrie. And there's two boards, you know, the Toronto Real Estate Board and the Barrie Board. So this is only the Toronto Real Estate Board. They had 525 sales for an average of 840,000. So they've broken that 800,000 plateau. And you know, the sales are up a lot more. I know in the Barrie, on the Simcoe board or the Barrie board, sales are up 160%. So still on fire up there. So what does that mean to everybody? Well, it means there's less homes out there, so competition is still stiff, and not quite as many as buyers, but you know, prices are still rising. So you know, interest rates are still low. You're not sure on where to go or what to look for. I know there's a lot of things that are going to be answered, and I'm going to make a very bold statement, and I believe May is going to be a lot less than April sales. And I don't think prices are going to really decline, but I think the sales will be a lot less. So, you know, if you're thinking of selling, it's a great time to sell. You have any other questions or concerns, by any means, give us a call at 905-907-5464 or homes@darrellking.com. In the meanwhile, stay safe, stay well, stay healthy, and support our local business, and thanks to our frontline workers. Wishing everybody all the best. Take care.